Welcome to Talk Solent, where we'll be discussing news in our Solent region and some national subjects too. We'll be discussing 8 fascinating articles today. I'm Jonathan Hines, and joining me on the sofa today, giving us their opinions and expertise, are Peter Marcus of Portsmouth Youth Voice, renowned clairvoyant medium and teacher Neshla Avey from Fareham, and Becky Holston, life coach, who specialises in stress and anxiety. Now, illegal immigrant workers first, and an Indian restaurant in Fareham has been part of raids to crack down on illegal workers in Hampshire. 4 Bangladeshi men who were overstaying their visas were found at the Indian cottage restaurant, and the owners face fines of up to £20,000 for each worker. Illegal immigrant work is a big issue in the UK and, of course, a very difficult problem to monitor, and the issue of people trafficking is only compounding the problem. So today we're asking, is it better that migrants are working than claiming or receiving state or charity help, or is it totally unjustifiable? Becky, what's your initial reaction to this article?
Well, I've actually been in an Indian restaurant when it did get raided.
Oh, right.
And I just ordered my poppadoms, and then some unusual uniforms that I'd never seen before came into the Indian restaurant.
And you thought it was part of the entertainment?
A little bit, yeah. And it is my most favourite Indian restaurant. So I was a little bit, you know, on one hand annoyed, because I was there to enjoy my evening and eat some great Indian food. But I think the bigger picture is here, you've got to have some rules and you've got to have some boundaries. You know, without them, we've got complete anarchy. And whilst there's some, some people who will work very, very hard and bring to this country an incredible work ethic, which, is lacking in some places in Britain.
Yeah.
How do you actually means test that? And make sure that people are respecting the rules and the boundaries. I think once you make those weak or give it too many grey areas, then you've got bigger problems.
So it's not, in your view, it's not preferable to individuals like this claiming help from the state or getting help from a charity. It's not preferable to that. It's just it's never justified.
Well, I think we've got the basic rule of actually, should you be in this country? And it's a legal matter. Would I have a different way and a different scale? Yes, I might. But the fact is, it is a legal versus illegal matter. So from that point of view, the boundaries are pretty clear and pretty firm. But then at the same point, it is also about survival for some of these people and earning a living and doing something that they're skilled at in their way. And I've seen some incredible resourcefulness come from people when they're in survival mode.
Yeah. Yeah, and with this particular issue, it's so hard, if not impossible, to know even approximate figures for how many people are working illegally, because the very essence of it is that they're in secret, hidden away.
Completely, and I think the other element is the organised crime side of this, in that a lot of some people are being made very, very wealthy by charging vulnerable and poor people on the chances of a better life to come in illegally into the country, and they're not traced, they're not tracked, they've got no access to healthcare. There's a broader problem there, really.
Neshla Avey, who do you think is most to blame then, the people employing them, or the workers, or both?
Well, as I say, it's the employers, they're the ones that are going to get fined, and they're the ones really that should discourage it, because as I say, that cause problems. And I had a similar experience to you in a Chinese restaurant, funny enough. We used to have, and that's going way back, about at least 15 years ago. Going there, and as I say, it was the same staff all the time, really nice, as you say, work hard, and it made a really nice atmosphere, and it's a very popular place. And it was a bit of a shock when suddenly half of them just got taken away,
Yeah.
And I went back the next day, because I knew the owner quite well. I'd met them before, and they just said, oh yes, we have these people, and they found out, they were illegally there, so we've just got to put our hands up. But as they said, it was getting the good staff, and they took that risk.
Peter, do you welcome? Do you think with illegal workers, do you think that they? I mean, how do you feel that they are victims, or do you feel that it's just wrong and it's just
I think
illegal?
there is. They are. A lot of them are victims of some sort of crime. In my eyes, it's preferable that they're out there working and earning a living rather than living off the state. I think that's always preferable, whether you're born here or you emigrate here, whether you're here legally or illegally. I think it's always preferable to be earning your own money than living off the state. In some respects, yeah, they shouldn't have been doing it. It is illegal, but you can see why they're doing it. If they've come to this country for a better life, and they're just trying to find a way of getting that.
And for you, the people who employ them, are they completely self-serving? You know, they're doing it for their own ends. They're exploiting people because it's cheap and convenient for them, or do you think there's more to it? Do you think maybe there's a bit of compassion and a bit of exploitation at the same
with
time?
With issues like this, there's always more to it than when we first look at, and yeah, they might be using it because it's cheaper than employing someone who's here legally, who's got all the paperwork they need, who's paying taxes, and it might be, but in the same way, if they're taking people from their community, they're supporting they're supporting their community, supporting their family, and I think that's something we all do naturally.
Yeah, yeah.
And a human trafficking, I mean, it's pure evil. I mean, it's something we haven't touched on this show for a while, so I think for a future show we could talk more about human trafficking, because that's another really, really big one. And again, how do you keep track of it? How do you monitor it?
And in a modern day society, when we're only a click away from infinite information, something that sounds as archaic as human trafficking is so prominent. You know, from small villages, it's not just a city problem either.
That's a huge one to look into. Yes, a very big issue there, which only makes this particular issue we're talking about even more complicated than it already was. And I don't know what the approximate figure would be just for Hampshire, how many illegal workers there might be.
We don't know, do we? That's the thing. But I do feel sorry for them as well, because as you say, they want to earn a living, but you get some places where, you know, they're strict and have to show your passport and everything to make sure that you can work over here, and other people that just can slip through.
Well, I think, you know, fundamentally every human being's entitled to hope and safety. But at the same point, you know, we've got to have the rules and boundaries in place that make it safe for everybody and give everybody a sense of hope.
Thank you, Becky. Yes. Now, Havant MP Alan Mack has said that we have a duty to look after the older people in our community who have given so much throughout their lives. Mr. Mack was visiting the Emsworth Day Out scheme, which has been around since 1979, and is a befriending network organising trips out too. Mr. Mack has some more ideas actually also about how our senior citizens can have more recognition and support and more social outlets. So, do we recognise our seniors enough, and should there be more support and social opportunities available for them? What do you think, Peter Marcus, on this one?
I think we've got a lot of people in this country, in this area, who have given years in work, in business, volunteering in the community, and it's important that we support them. Every year I go to the Remembrance Day service and celebration at Portsmouth Guildhall, and last year there was a man there who stood up. He couldn't stand up, he was really struggling. He stood up for the national anthem, and I saw that and I was proud, and I just stood there and I was like, this isn't it's the national anthem, it's for the Queen, and this is Remembrance Day for everyone, but at the moment it was him, and he was the one that was pushing himself, and it made me proud to be able to be there. So I think it's really important that we get involved and we support people who have given so much, whether it's in the military or community, whatever they've done. It's really important we do it.
So you think that we're not doing it enough at the moment, we could do better?
I think we could always do better with things like that. I think individually a lot of people are doing a lot to help. I think maybe as a society we could do more. Interesting.
Alan Mack, Havant MP, said, I encourage more local professionals and residents to volunteer for projects that help our oldest and most vulnerable residents. He also said, interestingly, I'm exploring the idea of holding an older person's information fair later in the year to bring together all the charities, community groups, government agencies and businesses that work with and support older people. Neshla.
Yes, I mean, agree. You know, whatever they've done in society, I think it's important for us to look after them. As I say, they've looked after us, we look after them. And it is sad that there's a lot of elderly people that haven't got family or friends to support them. A lot of elderly people are lucky enough to have that. But I know, you know, from experience, my gran was in her 90s, 98 before she went, and it kept her young just by going to various groups and clubs, you know, just to meet up with others. And I think that's important. You hear so many people that die in their homes, don't you? That
or in a home.
Yeah, and they haven't had, you know, or people don't even realise, you know. And as I say, all of us have got neighbours, haven't we? And if they're lonely and elderly, I think it's nice to give them a bit of time and a bit of support, just even 10 minutes out of our time. But if we can do it as a community, so we could have a group for them, I think it just keeps them young and happy.
Now, I know there are many reasons behind this, but it does, you know, I'm always saying how much it shocks me that you've got people sitting in care homes, nursing homes, who, apart from the staff there that they see, they get not a single visit
No, it's sad, isn't it?
from anybody. No family, no friends, no visits whatsoever in the space of a year. And you think, well, I know there are reasons, genuine reasons, it's not intentional. There are often many reasons why this might happen, but it's still, you can't get your head around it, can you? I mean...
Right, what we're talking about is isolation, and I think it isn't just the elderly that are isolated these days. You know, when I was growing up, I remember coming to, you know, someone coming into school and talking from Help the Aged, and you know, the impression that you get from an elderly person now is very different. Actually, there's a lot of activity. There's a lot more if you're looking to engage with that, and if you've got the confidence to do so. But you know, round the corner from every care home will be some younger people who are also feeling isolated.
Yes.
And actually, we need to match that up. And the older people have got so much wisdom. I just don't think we're tapping into it enough.
And you know, with care homes, you know, it's you know, I think some people, you know, and families are more scattered now, aren't they? Family members may live very long distances apart. And sometimes people have just lost touch as well, haven't they? It's awful. So coming up very shortly here on Talk Solent after the break, do you know who your police commissioner is? What do they do? And Portsmouth's Youth Parliament, or Portsmouth Youth Voice, it's now called. Back with you again very shortly after this.
With my poor credit, I felt toxic.
Finance companies were asking very high interest rates.
Couldn't afford it. My only option was an out-of-warranty used car for cash, or so I thought.
I called Wheels for Sure. A week later, I had a lease for a brand new car.
All manufacturer-backed and upgrade to a new one every 3 years.
I felt valued. Too good to be true? No, simply true.
Used car on a costly loan or an affordable new leased one, you know the choice.
For sure!
Click or call Wheels for Sure on 0800 044 5806 now. We can help.
Wow, look, it's a live cheetah. She's fast and dangerous. But do you know what's faster? When you download with BT Infinity. It's so fast. Is this safe?
It's perfectly safe. Oh gosh, do something.
Distract it. It's gonna eat me.
I've got meat! I've got meat!
Do I just stand still?
BT Infinity fibre optic broadband offers faster download speeds than Sky.
So, what's the best thing about knowing that Shaw compressed deodorant does actually last as long as a big can?
I can use my flatmate's can of it for weeks before she'll suspect anything. Yeah, that was me. Sorry.
Try compressed and join the 9 million women who've chosen it. Sure, it won't let you down.
At Unilever, we want our brands to help create a bright future. Persil Small and Mighty is concentrated, so it does the same amount of washing, but is made with less water and uses less packaging, which makes a difference to our planet. Unilever makes some of the world's most well-known brands, and we're working to reduce our environmental impact. Smaller packs are just one of the ways we're helping to create a bright future.
Welcome back to Talk Solent, the programme where we discuss the biggest news stories of our local patch and some national ones too. I'm Jonathan Hines and we have 8 articles today for discussion. Joining me are Peter Marcus of Portsmouth Youth Voice, life coach Becky Holston and Neshla Avey, the renowned clairvoyant from Fareham, another Talk Solent regular. Now, do you know who your police commissioner is and what do they do? Brian Greening of Newport, in a letter to the Isle of Wight County Press, says that he's able to name all the Wombles of Wimbledon Common much easier than he can name his police commissioner. Mr. Greening, in his letter, is equally scathing of our current government generally and certain individuals, and we've got more examples in a moment. But first of all, can you name your local police commissioner, and what is the job description of a police commissioner? Shall I pick on you first, Becky?
I was actually really surprised I knew this, and I'll probably get his name a bit wrong, but I think mine's Martin Underhill something. Martin Underhill, I think, for my area.
You're Dorset?
Yes.
Right.
So I actually knew this, but it feels like some sort of useless information. But, you know, I don't know where I put my car keys, but I know the name of the police commissioner.
Might help at a pub quiz one day.
Absolutely.
It sounds like a very responsible, high-profile job, doesn't it, Neshla?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah,
I'm afraid I can't say I know mine, so...
Right, we've just left with one last person. This is you're our last hope.
No, I know the name for this area. It's Simon Hayes. What he does, I don't think I could tell you.
Well, my excuse is I don't live in Hampshire, so I didn't know. But I found out today, and yes, you're correct. You got that right.
I think we should get a prize.
Can we name the Wombles now?
But this is interesting. Now, do we know what a police commissioner actually does? What would you say the job description is? Back to you, Becky.
Well, I think the Dorset guy, Martin, a bit informal there. I think
gentleman.
I think when he took over, they actually did a really good job of PRing him.
Right.
Actually, hence his name has by osmosis gone into my head. And I think he's actually been very prominent in connecting the police to the community.
Right.
So he is like a brand storefront between the police and the community, but has enough superiority, can never say that word, to actually get some things done and speak to the right people, rather than your very important pavement police, who are the voice and the ears of the community, but he actually has got some clout.
Well, yes. I mean, I did verify this, and that is the job description. They oversee the best policing possible for their area. And they're not actually police officers as such, but they do oversee the chief constable as well. So I was wondering whether to be a police and crime commissioner you have to have been at some point a bobby on the beat.
Oh,
that's interesting.
So. Yeah, I was going to say, because it's always best to someone doing the higher up job. It's always best to
I would say it's possibly not a bad thing if you're going for it. It's an elected role. Of course, we've got the elections coming up for them, and I think anyone, from my understanding, anyone could go. But I think it can't hurt really, kind of having experience of policing.
Exactly, because you know what to expect, and you've already done the job, so you've got more understanding of the problems they face.
Well, Brian Greening on the Isle of Wight was very scathing. He said he asks, well, he certainly can't name his police commissioner, and he says, or any of his equally expensive assistants. He's written, so that's his take on it. He said, I'm afraid I could name all the Wombles of Wimbledon Common before I could successfully answer that question. He goes on to give an example. He says, Bungo, bossy and enthusiastic with much of IDS about him. Orinoco loves sleep and food. Hello, Mr. Pickles. He's talking about Eric Pickles there. A couple of examples, the characters he lists. And he says, let's not forget that the Womble's aim in life is to make good use of bad rubbish, he says. So I don't think Brian Greening's happy with this particular government, but at least he's got a sense of humour. He says, when I think of some of the wonderful ideas Bungo and his team have come up with, like a tax on pasties, cutting disability benefits, making all schools academies, and the dreaded bedroom tax, to name but a few. And he said, not to mention the money we hand out to despots and their countries throughout the world. He says, I really don't think we are all in it together, as they like to say we are. So yeah, quite a strong letter there. What do you think of? What's your reaction on this?
My first reaction was remembering back. So I was 4, I believe, when the Wombles was last on TV. So my first reaction was remembering what the Wombles were. I think maybe some of the...
How old are you again?
I'm 18.
18, right. You can be forgiven for not being able to...
I think...
Not having gender on that one.
Naming the commissioner was a lot easier for me than naming any of the Wombles. I think Uncle Bulgaria was one, and that's about as far as I go. I think some of the criticisms may be slightly harsh. The way he's put them, I think the Wombles are much better than that. Some of the things he said, but yeah, I think it's a valid concern he's raising.
Yes, maybe the Wombles are not dealing with the challenges of being in government.
Perhaps not.
So yes, so he doesn't think much of the idea of a police commissioner. Have you met Simon Hayes yourself?
I haven't met Simon Hayes. I know people who have met Simon Hayes, and from what I hear, he does his job quite well, but never met him myself.
Well, let's have more about you actually, Peter. Staying with politics and our younger or future voters and decision makers, let's talk about our youth parliaments and what they do. Peter Marcus on the sofa with us today is very well placed to tell us. More from Peter in just a moment. Portsmouth Youth Parliament has recently rebranded with a new name and logo. It's now Portsmouth Youth Voice. Peter, great to have you here again this evening. Tell me the latest, why the name change, and what does a youth parliament do?
A youth parliament, or youth council as they're known in some places, really their job is to talk to young people, so 11 to 19, people who aren't yet old enough to vote, and make sure their voices are being heard by councillors and MPs. So we changed our name last month because we thought youth parliament didn't really sum up what we did. Our role is to make sure young people are heard. We run events. We ran an event last year where school children ask questions to councillors. We run various events like that throughout the year. So we thought the rebrand was much more about letting people know what we're doing. We're active. We're not.
Maybe you just wanted to get rid of the word. The boring word
we
parliament.
Maybe wanted to get rid of the boring word. We don't just sit in meetings. We're out there. We're giving young people a voice, and that's more important to what we do.
Yeah. And how old? What's the age group? How old do you have to be to be young enough to be in a youth parliament?
We're 11 to 19.
11 to 19.
We're 11 to 19, and there are similar organisations that do 18 to 25 and under 11 as well.
Oh right, is that as well?
There's those. We're just one organisation. In Portsmouth, we've got an organisation called COPS who do from all ages in schools as well. So they exist for various age groups.
And how long have these sorts of groups been around, Peter?
In Portsmouth, we were founded in 2008, so we've been going for 8 years now. But the National Youth Council, the British Youth Council, was founded in the 60s, I believe. So it's really something that's built up over time.
What do you think about this idea of a youth parliament, Neshla?
Yeah, I think it sounds a good idea actually, because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter, what age you are. There's always something that's going to come up that maybe, adults won't generally think of and haven't. Same challenges.
And maybe these groups prepare young people for the time when they're able to vote, so they can be better informed and more in touch with how other young people are thinking.
That's one of the things we aim to do. We run events where you can meet politicians and also people that work in the council, not the politicians themselves, but the people who are doing the day-to-day running of the council. We've run events so young people can meet them as well. So it's really about making sure people, the age group, know what's going on.
And how often do you meet, and how can people get in touch with you?
We meet once a month. We meet on the third Tuesday of the month after school, and people can get in touch by going to our website, which is pyv.org.uk.
pyv.org.uk. Right. Becky, what do you think about this? I mean, I didn't know much about youth parliaments, and so this is quite interesting, and Peter certainly knows his stuff.
Yeah, no, I hadn't heard of it either. But it sounds like an excellent way of engaging young people into caring about their country and getting involved in issues that matter to them or to people that they know. I think also it could be great as a confidence builder as well, that you've got something constructive to learn about, to perhaps debate, and also to meet. I think sometimes when you're little and young, people in authority can seem, quite overwhelming. So I think humanising anything means that you're more likely to get listened to, and you know you can work more with alliance with authority too.
And also maybe to deconfuse, to make politics and these you know, issues less confusing to young people, so they don't feel so.
It's not all about politics. We've run music festivals in the past few years where we've run a music festival. So just really making sure we do as much as we can for the age group, the free music festival we run, so it's not all about politics.
And again, but keeping with politics, though, I mean, do you find that most of the young people that are in the Youth Voice have already decided what their affiliation is, or are some very open at that age?
Not at all. Some people obviously have that. We all come with our own views, and some people know where that lines. But a lot of people don't. They come, they listen to what's going on, and they're very open-minded.
And very idealistic at that age as well. It's wonderful, isn't it? I know I was.
We have some members who are very idealistic. Some aren't. Some have a more realistic view, or pessimistic
some
view
are more adult.
of the world.
Yeah, more cynical.
It just gives them the chance to come together, regardless of what they believe, and talk about issues.
I like it. Certainly, I know a lot of young people are very idealistic, but they're going to vary so much, aren't they? And you've got 11 to 19. The age group, so that's quite broad as well, isn't it?
Yeah, the 11-year-olds are normally more idealistic
yes,
when they come to us, and then they leave 8 years later slightly less idealistic.
And if you have news that we should be talking about, then do contact us on our email. That's talk@solent.com. Back with you again very shortly for more fascinating subjects.
Big entertainment just got bigger. With BT TV, you now get bigger shows, bigger sports, and bigger movies. All for tiny prices.
Rebel, and now end with the big splits.
I can't do the splits.
It's okay, we'll do it with special effects.
All for tiny prices.
BT TV, bigger shows, bigger sports, bigger movies.
Germ News Network.
Hello, germs. As you know, when ordinary bleaches flash away, we quickly come back. With Domestos extended germ kill clings for longer to help stop germs from coming back. Flash after flash after flash.
Domestos extended germ kill. Nothing protects as long.
Anybody who struggles with their weight, and I'm at the head of that class, knows that it's not just about the weight. It's about something bigger. You've been fighting with the wrong tools. You've been looking in the wrong direction. So every time I tried and failed, and every time I tried again, has brought me to this most powerful moment to say, if not now, when? Are you ready? Let's do this together.
With BT Mobile, you can get the UK's best value 4G plan. Starting from just £5 a month if you've got BT broadband at home. Enjoy the combined power of fast 4G and Wi-Fi in more places than any other mobile provider. And the peace of mind of monthly spend caps. You'll get a 12-month contract, and you can keep the phone you love. Switch today from just £5 a month. Anyone can get BT Mobile, and with 3 SIM-only plans, you'll find one that's right for you. Visit bt.com/mobile or call 0800 345 7345.
Welcome back to Talk Solent with myself, Jonathan Hines. Joining me on the sofa today are Peter Marcus, Neshla Avey and Becky Holston. Now, life coaching now, and does it really work? Life coaching is more popular than ever before, with many seeking out a coach. But what could a life coach do for your life that you can't achieve yourself? Well, those who have used life coaching have reported back very favourably for the most part, and the results and findings from surveys with those who've used life coaches are very good. More on those findings in a moment. So, Becky Holston, welcome once again. Great to have you on. What can a life coach do for you that you maybe couldn't do for yourself?
Well, it's a bit like when we can see other people in their lives, what they need to do. But we all have a complete blind spot sometimes about what we need to do.
Yeah.
And also, more importantly, in some ways, we're holding ourselves back. So I think it's important to clarify, first of all, what life coaching isn't. Life coaching isn't going to see someone who'll then tell you what you need to do. Certainly a good life coach shouldn't be telling you what to do. You know, what it is actually is a skill in actually getting the person to get the best out of themselves. You know, I mean, I was clueless up until 32. You know, I hadn't even heard the word goal setting. And when someone actually showed me, when a life coach showed me how to goal set, it was like being given a magic wand. And I was wondering why I wasn't taught that at school. And, you know, it would have made such a difference to my life if I had learned something like goal setting. And also if I'd learned how to actually find within me what I was truly passionate about and what I wanted to look at.
What is goal setting, Becky, and how does that work?
So goal setting is actually getting clear about what you want from your life, not what somebody else thinks you should want from your life, but you can use it to, you know, help achieve things that really matter to you. So it could be something like good health if somebody's going through a tough time with their health, but it could also be about getting honest with yourself and daring to dream. You know, again, I'd never known many years ago how to even admit to myself what I wanted from life because I was so afraid of failure.
Right.
So, you know, a good coach will help you navigate through some of the things that are holding you back so you can actually, you know, take an honest look at yourself. And that's a word that terrifies a lot of people. But an honest look at yourself is seeing all that you're great at. You know, whereas actually we'd have a very distorted view of ourselves where we're more looking at what isn't working or what's wrong with us.
Well, before we go on to Neshla Avey and Peter Marcus, let's look at the results. Life Coach Spotter recently released this infographic test, these results here that sets out to prove the effectiveness of life coaching. And it's looking good. For those who have used a coach, 80% improved their self-confidence, 72% improved, said their communication skills had improved, and 57% said they'd improved their time management skills. And interesting, the reasons why clients seek a coach in the first place: achieving your goals is at the top, 64%, happiness, 51%, finding your purpose, 48%, and relationships and love at the bottom, 38% of people go regarding love and relationships. Neshla, does life coaching work? Are you all for life coaching, or do you think it doesn't work for everybody? What do you think?
No, I think it's great. It's a similar work that I do, and you can even have spiritual life coaching where you could find your spiritual talents. But I do agree with it because a lot of people, thing is, a lot of people are taking pressure, especially from families. Say you've come from a family of solicitors, so therefore you feel, you know, you should be a solicitor, and they're all pushing you that direction. If you really want to do something else, it's finding someone that helps you believe in yourself and supports you. Not everyone needs them, but the people that do, you know, it's just a stranger that can just help you, you know, move on and move forward. And that's what it's all about, as you say, never telling them what to do, but actually helping them find where their talents lie or where their dreams are, and finding who they are and being honest with themselves. That's the important thing. And when you're honest to yourself and you're passionate about something you want to do, and you believe in it, you can do it.
Peter, why do you think more people are going to life coaches now than ever before?
I think more people are, I think it's becoming more acceptable to want something better for yourself, to want something different. I remember when I was at school, we had a life coach come into school. Our school got someone in who spoke to us about goal setting ahead of choosing GCSE options.
Yeah, certainly didn't have that at my school.
I think. And that was quite unique. From what I understand, we were one of the only schools in Portsmouth to do that. So I think it's becoming more acceptable to want to be yourself. And I think that's pushing it. We're looking at happiness and achieving your goals are the main reasons people are going to a life coach.
And how has it changed things for the students? Did that work?
I think it did. It certainly, when I then went to choose my GCSE options, I was much clearer in what I wanted.
Right.
I'd taken the time to sit down and think, what do I want? And instead of maybe doing something that I thought I wanted, I had that clarity in what do I want to do, and I could pick things that would actually help me with that. Well,
certainly in the mid to late 90s, which when I was, you know, going through the exam time, we hadn't quite got to that, so that's interesting. Yeah.
And it was really beneficial. It was quite a small year at my school, but I think everyone found it useful.
Yeah.
And the same is, we're not getting any kind of understanding of how to deal with our emotional health issues. You know, how do we deal with loss? How do we deal with things like that? Until we find ourselves in that position, and none of us came with a manual, so it's not like we can look at page 56 when something's broken.
Yeah. That's right.
So, you know, I think I'd be looking, you know, there's been times when we need that manual. We don't have it. So when we don't spend time, you know, most people spend more time investing in understanding how to use their mobile phone or booking a holiday than they do understanding themselves.
And another great gem that came from you, I remember you saying several months ago, Becky, was, you know, that the human brain is an incredible, complex, amazing piece of equipment, but people just don't know how to use it effectively.
No.
That's what you said, or I probably messed up your quote now and with the wording there, but that was what
yeah,
you...
No, we'll go with that. We'll go with that.
Yeah.
That's it, and it really is learning to be yourself, as you said, when actually, you know, the world and some of our inner programming is trying to take away from us being ourselves.
Yeah. Right, so we're keeping, this is your part of the show actually, Becky, so something else for you here. We're in an era where most people are now on social media, and many use it every day or several times a day. Most of us have experienced addiction or certainly come dangerously close to being addicted to Facebook and other sites. But what about our young people? A recent report has highlighted that although our teenagers use the internet or social media to de-stress, many are in fact more stressed because of Facebook and other similar sites. Becky Holston, what's your reaction to this article? How many people that come to you talk about stress related to Facebook or Twitter or mobile phones or whatever?
It features a lot in high-performance people. I'd say within the age group of 50 to 65. I see it less in youngsters because they've grown up with it. So it becomes a tool and a resource, whereas some of the older guys, I'm seeing, men in particular, I'm seeing an increase in stress related to, for example, playing word search games till 3 o'clock in the morning, trying to get a sense of achievement that way, because you've actually fallen out of love with your company. And then rolling in at 11 o'clock, who's going to ask the boss where they've been that morning? So I see quite a lot of that actually. And I went to a talk recently by Google, and they said that on average we're checking our phones 150 times a day. Wow. Now, how many hugs are we having? So, you know, that's when it becomes a problem. It's the mindless, I've got a minute to myself, I know, I must fill it. And we're all doing it. And we forget how to be present, so then we need to go and do something called mindfulness. Because we're not actually being mindful in the moments when we have got time. We're feeling guilt associated with doing nothing because we're programming our minds that doing nothing is a threat. So all social media is an extension of our psychology, individually and as a collective. So it's about making sure that you use it to get what you want rather than let it use you and every second and every spare moment you've got.
A lot of people are forgetting how to make a phone call, aren't they? Because they seem to prefer doing it via Messenger, which could be instant, but it does take longer, doesn't it, to type things out via Messenger. Why not just pick up the phone? Why do some people find that difficult? They'd rather do it via Messenger. Why is that, Becky, in your view?
Because if you don't do it, you lose it. You know, people are very terrified of actually making a phone call and connecting. I think we're desperate to connect. Must connect. Oh, don't know what to say to you. So you know, it is about an evolution, but at cost of what? You know, we've not got any boundaries. We've not, you know, we're the generation of guinea pigs that test this, and I do think that on a safety level as well, you know, there's a big thing with children, and there's no parameters of safety, not really, in keeping them safe.
Well, let's just have a look at the statistics briefly. A WebMD Teens and Stress Consumer Survey, this is in the States, I believe, this one, released this month, found that 55% of parents view their children's stress due to social media use as moderate to high. 57% of the parents who participated in the survey have teenage daughters who use social media platforms to de-stress, but only 38% of them have teenage sons who do the same. So it seems that girls are using it to de-stress more than boys. I didn't know that. I thought it was pretty much 50-50. We know it can be addictive. A report from the Burge Facebook Addiction Scale found that 63% of Americans visit Facebook each day while 40% access the site several times daily, or several is a conservative estimate, isn't it?
But it's about
just
the quality.
all the time.
It's about the quality of the connection that instrument is providing, and I think that's how we take an inventory of the quality.
Peter Marcus, without being patronising to you, I mean, you're 18, very mature 18-year-old, I must say, but you've grown up with this, so this has been normal, well, certainly for the last 10, 15 years, so most of your life.
One of the things I did today was tweet that I was going to be here.
Yeah.
It's part of, and it's become a normal thing for me to do.
Whereas when I was your age, there was nothing like that. You couldn't...
Maybe go knock on the door and tell someone.
Yeah.
But it's become part of life now, and I'm using it as you said, as a tool. I think maybe that's something we've gone too far doing, putting everything on social media and using it too much. I fall in that 40% there who check several times a day.
I'm the same.
I think, and I don't necessarily see that as a bad thing if we're doing it properly, and also talking, I pick up the phone when I can. So I think in balance it can be effective.
In a nutshell, Peter, do you think it is causing emotional and mental difficulties for your generation?
I think if we ignore the thing, picking up the phones and talking face to face, I think yes. If we keep with that, I don't think it's an issue.
Great way to conclude. Thank you, Peter. Right, coming up we'll be talking more local news, and if you have news that we should be talking about, then do contact us on our email, talk@thatsolent.com, or send us a tweet on Twitter, #TalkSolent.
This scene is about how all BT mobile plans come with a monthly spend cap.
So why the bee?
Actually, it's a wasp.
Because you can set a spend cap, it means you won't get stung with a nasty surprise bill at the end of the month.
Willem, here is the spend cap flamethrower. For all the details.
Like that?
That was the only wasp?
Was I not supposed to do that?
With BT Mobile, all plans come with a monthly spend cap so you can avoid nasty surprise bills.
We all need help sometimes. Support in times of need. Someone to lean on your side. Irwin Mitchell Solicitors are widely regarded by experts as the #1 personal injury law firm, helping people get the best possible medical care and rehabilitation, as well as compensation.
That's why I'm with Irwin Mitchell.
So you were surprised that Shaw compressed deodorant did in fact last as long as a big can?
Yeah, I was surprised, because it's so small.
You shouldn't underestimate things just because they're small.
Fair enough.
Try compressed and join the 9 million women who've chosen it. Sure, it won't let you down.
Anybody who struggles with their weight, and I'm at the head of that class, knows that it's not just about the weight. It's about something bigger. You've been fighting with the wrong tools. You've been looking in the wrong direction. So every time I tried and failed, and every time I tried again, has brought me to this most powerful moment to say, if not now, when? Are you ready? Let's do this together.
At Unilever, we want our brands to help create a bright future. Persil Small and Mighty is concentrated, so it does the same amount of washing, but is made with less water and uses less packaging, which makes a difference to our planet. Unilever makes some of the world's most well-known brands, and we're working to reduce our environmental impact. Smaller packs are just one of the ways we're helping to create a bright future.
Hello, you're watching Talk Solent with me, Jonathan Hines, and my guests today on the sofa, Becky Holston, Peter Marcus and Neshla Avey. Now, how much do we really understand about eating disorders, and more specifically, anorexia? Some 1.6 million people in the UK suffer with anorexia or bulimia, but there are still some common misconceptions and cliches about anorexia and anorexia sufferers, according to Frances Coleman Wright, who writes for Mindful Survivor. We'll be talking about some of these in a few moments, but first of all, Peter, I know you've suffered from an eating disorder yourself.
I have. From I was about 6 to 12, I had anorexia. For the last 6 years, I've been recovering from that and trying to put weight on. That's a big thing for me, is getting weight on and starting to eat what could be deemed as a normal diet.
Right. So you had a look at this article. What are some of the most common misconceptions and cliches that you've noticed, and what you picked up from this particular article?
Some of the things that some mentioned in the article and some aren't. I think one of the most common things is it's something teenage girls have. Anorexia, bulimia is something that teenage girls have. And I was a 6-year-old boy, and for that reason it went undetected for a couple of years. And even when they said, yeah, you're anorexic, there wasn't the support in place.
Right. So it's better now than even just a few years ago.
Even just a few. I think we're getting better at that, but still there is this assumption, both the public and also scarily within the medical profession, that is something teenage girls have. Where I think the other common misconception is you can just stop. Wait, I've been trying for 6 years and I'm still feeling the effects of it. It's not the kind of thing that you just say, oh, I'm not going to be anorexic. It's something that can affect your whole life.
And what sort of things annoy you that people say or think about anorexia? What sort of things do people just not understand? What do they come out with that annoys you?
The thing that annoys me the most is when people look at a picture and say, oh, they look anorexic or something like that, and just say it as a flippant remark, oh, they're thin, oh, they look anorexic, they look bulimic, or make a joke about it. This is a serious thing. People, it can kill, people go in hospital because of this. I think people just don't see how serious it really can be.
Recovery is about rediscovering the person underneath the illness. I have been addicted to running and to laxatives, adding to the feelings of guilt and shame. So guilt and shame is another thing.
Guilt and shame is a bit weird. I never, in their ranges exercise, I never got the desire to exercise, still haven't, but it's really scary, the amount of misconceptions there are. I think another one it mentions there is forgetting to eat. And it's not about forgetting to eat. When I was at my worst, I didn't forget to eat. I was constantly thinking about food and what I can't eat.
Do you have any idea how you developed it in the first place? Were there any particular triggers, or is that something you're still trying to work out?
I developed anorexia when my mum and dad got divorced.
Right.
And quite often it can be an emotional thing that sets it off. And it got worse while a court case is going on, which didn't help the situation. And it's started to get better. Now that's all come to an end. But it can be set off for a variety of ways.
Yeah, some people say that someone with anorexia should just eat.
I've heard that one a lot. Just eat more. Why don't you just try adding another sandwich to your lunch? And it doesn't work like that. These have both psychological and physical effects on your body, and you can't eat too much. Your body won't allow you to eat as much as other people can. It's quite damaging to your body physically as well as mentally.
Becky?
Well, I think very much, you've bravely talked about, and I'm sure inspired many people that you won't ever realise in doing so, is that very often childhood trauma is at the root of a lot of anorexia and eating disorders and very other mental health issues as well that someone has. And the thing is, the younger you are as well, when you experience childhood trauma, the more it's going to have an impact, and your wisdom hasn't developed then, so you very much feel it as a physical emotion, and where we store emotions is very much a physical feeling too. So it is, I think, we're not doing enough at all for mental health support, that people should be still subjected from GPs in actual fact to some of those conversations. And you need, if you've got to a point where you're going to put your hands up, if you're a bit older, you might understand what's going on. If you're little, you really won't. Where do you go? Where do you go for help? And we had a quick chat, about that. Yeah. And, it really is, we need a system that supports mental health in the way you do physical health, because they are the same.
Which organisations, Peter, or websites should people start with if they think they're ill?
I found the Beat is the UK's largest eating disorder charity. It's beat-eat.org.uk. I found them really helpful. But I think what's scary is a lot of these things, there's government helplines or government websites you can go to. and there's nothing like that. It's very reliant on charities picking up the cost of treatment and the help and getting information out.
And it's a very secretive illness as well, so sometimes it gets picked up on other things, not necessarily the eating disorder. And also, if people really understood the cost on the physical NHS of this, that's where the money is to treat the emotional body.
Yeah. Right, now the last item for this evening. We know that already 2016 is proving to be a bad year for celebrities passing away, and we're only in April. Prince Victoria Wood and Ronnie Corbett being examples just in the past month or so. So can this be just chance, or are you amongst those that are wondering if there's more to it than that, and asking why so many in so short a space of time? Even astrology and planetary conditions have been linked by some with the amount of passings. But before that, we're going to consider some of the more down-to-earth and practical, you might say, theories that have been put forward. So which celebrity deaths have affected you the most? Neshla?
Well, Prince for me, because I grew up listening to the music, and as I say, you know, there's just one after the other, but it's that time they're all leading, but it brings us that compassion. We've had, you know, it's a part of our childhood. We're more aware of celebrities, and there's a lot of celebrities around now, and I think that's why it's more noticeable.
Also, okay, Neshla, so you're obviously somebody who studied many esoteric things, spiritual things a lot. Let's start with what are your ideas about, is there anything in this, in your view? Let's start with
right, well, it's not just celebrities leaving this planet. I think I believe that we're all ascending and changing, and I think that at the moment you can ask, I see a lot of people, there's a lot of deaths going on at the moment, a lot of souls leaving this planet.
So there's a lot happening at the moment.
Yeah, it's not just celebrities, it's just we're aware of celebrities because we can hear that. But you know, there's a lot of people I've talked to recently that have lost people, and I was saying, you were saying as well, weren't you? You know that a lot of them are going, but it is actually bringing us together a little bit more. There's a bit of compassion, there's something to talk about, and we care a lot more. Whereas, you know, before, with you know, somebody passing away, you just think, oh well, you know, they're just someone from America or somebody whatever, and you didn't care. But it brings people together a little bit more to share and talk about. But there are a lot of souls going out, definitely.
And why is that more specifically at the moment?
Well, as I say, we're changing in age. As I say, I believe there's sort of ascension waves going on. So basically, a lot are leaving, a lot have done their job, and it doesn't matter what age they are. They've brought this to the fore. They've done their job. They're leaving the planet, and then making space for
What is an ascension wave, Neshla?
Well, basically, it's us growing and learning and being who we're meant to be. We're actually recognising that we're not all individuals, we're actually all connected together, and we're getting more compassion and care for each other because you know, we are all connected, and I think we're learning to recognise that a little bit more. And as I say, you
so
think,
it's like sort of death dominoes then?
Yeah, well, you look back. You remember when Princess Diana died? Do you remember the compassion?
1997.
Yeah, the compassion there. Whereas years ago, somebody like that died, and there wasn't the same sort of effect. Whereas we've got that sort of mass effect, and it's a knock-on effect, and we all felt it. And it's again because we're recognising the connection.
Becky, who's affected you the most because quite a few have left the planet?
There's been so many
January.
recently that you actually lose touch with who's left. But you can always, when someone reminds you, you can always remember where you were when you found that news. Like, you know, I think the beginning wave, Michael Jackson sort of thing. And you know, I can remember being somewhere in London where no one was talking to each other, and then the news just went, and it was quite a media place, and the news just went. And before you know it, everyone was talking to everybody. And actually there was a connection through loss that everybody had. And there's a lot of power in that. I think for me, I mean, Prince as well, but then also, you know, I've had some losses in my life as well from non-celebrities in the last couple of weeks, which is exactly in line with what you're saying. So I think some of the celebrity losses for me have been a little bit sort of put to one side from the real losses in my life.
And the BBC's obituary editor Nick Serpell has mentioned what Neshla's already touched on, the baby boom factor, so the age thing. A lot of these stars were born between 46 and 64, which is the baby boom generation. And also the internet. Obviously, the internet means that things are covered more, news travels faster. That's another factor here. So a lot of people who started becoming famous in the 1960s, to go back to that point, are now entering their 70s and are starting to die.
Some of these guys are 50s and 60s, aren't they? They're, you know, they're not. You know, they're not who you'd expect to be leaving first.
And just to conclude, obviously you're a mere 18, but are there any celebrities
I think
passing recently that have affected you?
It's been Alan Rickman was the one for me. I grew up, I was born in 97, around this time the first Harry Potter book was released. I grew up reading the books, watching the films, so for me that was the one. A lot of the others, yeah, I've heard the music, seen their films, the TV, enjoyed it, but not to the same extent.
Unfortunately, as always, that's all we've got time for today. My thanks to today's guests, Peter, Neshla and Becky. Talk Solent returns tomorrow at the same time. Thanks for watching. See you next time.
This shepherd's pie says, I know I'm just your dad, and what do I know? He was an idiot and didn't deserve you. This shepherd's pie says, chin up, lass.
With real herbs and seasoning, Coleman's make proper British meals that say it all.
We all need help sometimes. Support in times of need. Someone to lean on your side. Irwin Mitchell Solicitors are widely regarded by experts as the #1 personal injury law firm, helping people get the best possible medical care and rehabilitation, as well as compensation.
That's why I'm with Irwin Mitchell.
The best defense is defense. Use everything you have to protect your alliance. Join me and strike. Mobile Strike. Download and play now, free from the App Store.
Anybody who struggles with their weight, and I'm at the head of that class, knows that it's not just about the weight. It's about something bigger. You've been fighting with the wrong tools. You've been looking in the wrong direction. So every time I tried and failed, and every time I tried again, has brought me to this most powerful moment to say, if not now, when? Are you ready? Let's do this together.
We all need help sometimes. Support in times of need. Someone to lean on your side. Irwin Mitchell Solicitors are widely regarded by experts as the #1 personal injury law firm, helping people get the best possible medical care and rehabilitation, as well as compensation.
That's why I'm with Irwin Mitchell.
Check out this guy, he's super responsive. But he's not a patch on BT Infinity's super responsiveness when you're online gaming.
Rebel? Yeah, just... No.
Actually swallowed two.
BT Infinity fibre optic broadband offers more responsive gaming than Virgin Media. BT Mobile, the combined power of 4G and Wi-Fi in more places than any other mobile provider.
With my poor credit, I felt toxic. Finance companies were asking very high interest rates.
Couldn't afford it. My only option was an out-of-warranty used car for cash, or so I thought.
I called Wheels for Sure. A week later, I had a lease for a brand new car.
All manufacturer-backed and upgrade to a new one every 3 years.
I felt valued. Too good to be true? No, simply true.
Used car on a costly loan or an affordable new leased one, you know the choice.
For sure!
Click or call Wheels for Sure on 0800 044 5806 now. We can help.
So, what's the best thing about knowing that Sure compressed deodorant does actually last as long as a big can?
I can use my flatmate's can of it for weeks before she'll suspect anything. Yeah, that was me. Sorry.
Try compressed and join the 9 million women who've chosen it. Sure, it won't let you down.
At Unilever, we want our brands to help create a bright future. Hellmann's Real Mayonnaise is made with free-range eggs and is on its way to sourcing all its vegetable oils sustainably, which is good news for sandwiches and our planet.